Hey guys, good morning or good afternoon whenever you're watching this. Welcome back to the channel. So for today's video, I wanted to give some quick advice on charging, level 1 charging when you're traveling in a Tesla, especially in the wintertime, or well, specifically in the wintertime. So my wife and I travel quite a bit in this car. I've currently got, let's see here, where are we at? 96,321 miles on the car, and we do a lot of state-to-state driving in it using the supercharger network and that. And typically what we do is we will charge up to 100% at home and leave and stop at the superchargers, obviously along the way, however many we need to stop at to get to our destination. In the summertime, oftentimes we make sure that we're at the next supercharger with maybe 10%. In the wintertime, we make sure that we're going to have, say, 25-30% minimum or more when we reach the next supercharger, just so that, I don't know, so we've got extra. Well, then we also always bring our level 1 charger, so when we get to our destination, which right now we're up in Minnesota, my wife's family's house, we can plug in. We're typically gone for 2 to 4 days. We'll plug in, leave the car sit there, and it charges slow on level 1, but it'll charge all the way up. And so that's what we did here. But there's something that I wanted to point out. This was the coldest we'd ever traveled. It was -4 degrees when we reached our destination here. And so I plugged into to the outlet. We were at 43% state of charge. So I plug in and we went inside for the night. I got up the next morning and it had gone from 43% to 42%. It had gone down 1% even though we were plugged in overnight. So this is something I wanted to point out to you guys, you know, kind of a thing with electric cars, with Teslas at least in particular, and that is that the car does its best to protect the battery. So it will keep the battery at a reasonable temperature. And in this instance, even though we were plugged in at 1 kilowatt, which we're still plugged in at 1 kilowatt right now, even though we were plugged in at 1 kilowatt, it was taking more than 1 kilowatt to warm the battery up. And now, eventually, it warmed up enough that it started charging, but it was, I think, overnight we lost 1%, and then we only gained 2 or 3% the next day, or the next maybe 12 hours. But then after that, it started charging pretty decently. So right now we're at 85% charge. I woke up this morning at 90% charge, which is where I had it set to stop at, and it stopped there. We're at 85% now because I turned the cabin heat on to 80 degrees Fahrenheit this morning to thoroughly warm up the car so I could shoot this video, and knowing we're going to be here another 24 hours anyway, and I can charge it back up further. But it's just something that I wanted to point out to you guys, that when you are at level 1 charging, well, at any level of charging, it's going to charge slower when the battery is cold. And that's why while you're traveling, it will say preconditioning battery for supercharging, and as you're approaching the supercharger, it's warming the battery up to make it optimal to accept a charge. And at level 2 charging, you'll notice a slight change in charging speed. At level 1, you notice a drastic change in charging speed because it takes so much energy to warm the battery. So just allow for that when you're traveling. We always do, but it's something I wanted to point out specifically in this trip because it was colder than it's ever been. Also, we always bring our level 1 charger, as I mentioned, but also, being that we own 3 electric cars, when you buy an electric car, they pretty much always come with a level 1 charger. I bring a second charger with me. So this is our extra charger. This is a level 1 charger from our Mini Cooper. This is a compressor and tire repair kit, and there's my J1772 to Tesla charge adapter, and a short, extra heavy-duty, extra thick extension cord. There's our extra heavy-duty extension cord, super thick 30-amp cord. You're not supposed to charge level 1 with an extension cord, but once in a while it won't reach, and so I always bring it just in case. And I use an extra heavy cord. We're not using it now because we didn't need it, but in this case we took our Mini Cooper SE level 1 charger and then the level 1 charge adapter to go from that, from the J1772 down to the Tesla charger and the outlet, in case my level 1 Tesla charger didn't work. Then we'd have a backup. And on top of that, we arrived with, like I said, 43% state of charge. The nearest supercharger is 21 miles from here. So if for some reason neither level 1 charger worked, or we just had no place to plug in or whatever, we had plenty of charge. I could have gotten to the supercharger, oh gosh, with only 10% charge used, still get there with still over 30% and supercharge and drive back. But anyway, that's just something I want to point out to you guys, is that level 1 charging, I don't want to say you can't trust it. It's just that in super cold weather, it's going to use much of its energy just to keep the battery warm. And so I bring 2 level 1 chargers with, just in case. I always even bring a tire pump and a tire plug kit, along with I don't know, just in case. I've never had to use it on a trip. No, I take that back. I have used it on a road trip, but it wasn't till we got to our destination that I realized I had a nail in the tire and I was able to plug it. But we were at our destination anyway, we would have been fine. But I always bring those things. There's always things like food and, I don't know, whatever. We always have blankets and you know, whatnot in the car. In my wife's store, she's got masks for if we're getting together with, you know, a group of people or whatever. But so anyway, we in one of my previous videos, I had a lot of people freaking out about that we weren't prepared. We're actually over prepared for a lot of things, you know. But anyway, not to get sidetracked on that. But so anyway, that's my video for today. I want to encourage you guys to look at an EV just as any other car, but there are some slight differences to traveling long distance, state to state or country to country if you're in Europe, in an EV. But there are certain benefits too. EVs tend to be very well insulated, so they stay warm. Oh gosh, just the no fumes if you're traveling slow over snow and that kind of thing. I mean, there are certain benefits. They're quiet and smooth. It's a more serene experience. If the roads are clear, you can use autopilot on a Tesla. That's awesome. So I prefer traveling in this car, and it is a rear-wheel drive car. And I will say that all-wheel drive would be nice. When I bought this car, I've had people say, if you travel up north, why don't you have an all-wheel drive car? Well, for one thing, I bought this car early on, and the all-wheel drive cars weren't going to be available for 6 more months, and I needed a car. So plus they were going to cost a lot more, and that, so I chose to get this car. And but most likely my next car will be all-wheel drive, not so much for the snow, more for performance reasons. But so anyway, that's it for me for today. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments section below. My Christmas sale of $30 off for the swiveling screen mount kits, it's still running. I haven't taken it down yet, so I'll leave it up for another couple days. So if you want to order a swiveling screen mount kit, there's a $30 off discount, which is the biggest discount I've ever offered. Link in the description below. So thanks, guys. Have yourselves a wonderful day, and as always, stay charged. Bye-bye now.